Thank you. Am I close enough? Ah, perfect. All right, so when I graduated from high school, my grandmother gave me a journal. And on the first cover page of the journal, she told me that life was my own story to write. And she was correct, but she was also wrong. And I'm going to tell you why. So, a few blocks from here, a few years ago, I was actually born in Bloomington Hospital. My parents worked in manufacturing, and when the economy tanked in 2008, our family was left broke and with hard choices to make. So we moved to Indianapolis. My mom was able to get a job there, and I started going to an affluent suburban high school. The high school was great. It was a critical part of my development experience. I was able, at that high school, to kind of start writing that story, but also understanding my place in it. So, the first day when I walked in the door, I remember I used to wear very baggy clothes, and they were hand-me-downs from my older brothers. They didn't look very good, and it wasn't what everyone else was wearing. For the very first time, I started to acknowledge that I was different than these people around me. Later that year, when I came out as gay, I realized I was much different than many of the people around me. But the support that I received from my peers was a first in a generation, perhaps. I never experienced the issues of bullying and harassment and discrimination that you hear about, and that meant more to me than I think I could conceptualize in words to you all right now. These same peers stayed with me through the years. They were great to me. They elected me their homecoming king. But then graduation day came around, and we were all supposed to go our separate ways. And it was on that day that I got that journal and realized that it was my turn to write the story. It was the first story that would get to begin at college for anyone in my family. My mom and dad both dropped out their sophomore years. My grandparents never finished middle school. So I thought about what I wanted to do next. My parents expected me to go work in a factory. That's what my siblings were doing, and it was what it appeared I was going to do. I didn't want to do that, though, not because I didn't admire and respect the hard work that they put in day after day, but because I wanted to find a deeper sense of meaning and to help more people who had been in a situation like me and felt lost. So I remember around October, I'm sitting there, big tub, chocolate ice cream, some show on Netflix that I was binge watching at the time. And I'm scrolling through Instagram, right? So it's dark, I've got my phone, I'm looking on this glass screen, and I'm seeing all of my friends, all of those peers, the people who were so good to me, away and at these fancy colleges and these places that seemed so far off and foreign. And it really struck home that all of the other barriers I had overcome had led me to this point, and I wasn't going to let that barrier stand in my way either. My parents, God bless them, worked 2 jobs, and so they weren't able to really help me with that. They didn't know what to do or where to go. So I marched myself up to the community college, Ivy Tech in Indianapolis. I enrolled same day. They were able to get me health insurance for the first time in my life. I worked my behind off. And I came down to IU for a tour day, and I remember seeing all of the senior kids with their families, and it was this dark day. Everything was kind of dreary, but the campus was beautiful, and I was so excited to be there until it rained. I had not brought an umbrella. And standing with the kids and their parents, holding their umbrellas while I was being rained on, struck to me again, you don't belong here. I refused to listen to that voice, and when I applied to IU, I was accepted. I moved down here with my pride, and I stuck to it. When deciding what I was going to do for a career, I chose to become an educator because I felt that my own education had empowered me, and I wanted to empower others with knowledge and learning in the same way that I had been empowered. And so, day in and day out, I continue to rewrite my own story. And that, to me, is what it means to retell Indiana.